Hey plant fam, welcome back to my channel, Houseplant Pixie. For everyone that's new to my channel, my name is Monique and welcome back to my existing subscribers. Today's episode I will give you an update about the Variegated Monstera, the Queen cuttings, and how they're going. For everyone that hasn't seen or if you don't know what I'm talking about, because this is the first video that's getting suggested to you, oh my god, I don't even know, could have been a year ago, don't quote me on the time. I bought this Variegated Monstera, fairly good priced, because it was dying. The person could not wait to get rid of it. So, and this is something I want to tell you, wait for it. I waited about 5 to 6 years to get a Variegated Monstera. I did get a cutting first, but I did wait it because I always believed surely they have to come down in price. It still hasn't happened. So if you want one, definitely get one. And also if you are a beginner, maybe wait. Get a normal Monstera like the one behind me and try out how you go with that. Because a Variegated Monstera has a lot of white in the leaf and it is a little bit more tricky, especially if you're overwatering. Alright, so yeah, I got the episodes. I made a playlist for you guys so you can go back to it and have a look. The first episode shows the whole plant and how I chop it up. The second one is an update, and third one I'm potting up the cuttings. And I did have one cutting that didn't have roots, and I'm telling you today at the end of this episode if it's still with us. Alright, I also go through each cutting and what I'm going to do, just as a general maintenance. So if that's something that's interesting you, watch this video to the end and don't forget to comment, like and share. Alright, let's start with I don't have an order. So I'll have them in these clear pots. They are fantastic. You see what's going on with like say if this was getting root bound, you would see the roots, even if like sometimes the roots come out of the bottom, which doesn't necessarily mean you have to repot it. So with this guy, very quickly, I'm looking at the foliage on top, underneath. Always check your foliage underneath for bugs. The top could be looking super fine, but in general, if I scan this plant and look, and it's looking pretty healthy. The only thing I don't like, and I think we're going to chop this now, is this was the original leaf from the cutting. It had a bit of browning on it, so there's no harm in cutting or like trimming the brown off if you don't like it. But if you have a plant and it gets brown leaf and you trim it and then it keeps being an ongoing issue, there's something going on. You're either overwatering, underwatering, or you might have, yeah, but that's pretty much the only, or you have fertilizer burn. So I'm going to do, and also I have nursery pot in a decorative pot with no holes. I got over 300 plants. If I would have drainage holes in every single pot, I wouldn't even know how to water. All right, if you so I'm showing you, so I'm gonna give this a little bit of water, and that's it. And then we wait till it drains through. keep in mind, if you actually cut this leaf, that's how the plant, how do I say, it absorbs the light and then produces the energy to grow. So if you have pure white, they can't do photosynthesis. So you always want a happy medium of your variegation. I would not buy Variegated Monstera that is pure white. It's not gonna survive. It is a bit more trickier if the white is more coming out. So what I would recommend, if the white is, if you have a leaf pop out, it's like super, which that one doesn't have. The half moon variegation of the mother plant, that was the newest leaf that's getting there. What I'm trying to say, if this continues on, I will move that plant into a bit of a darker spot. Alright, now let's cut this leaf. Nice on the, I'm trying to do it so you can see it. Let's not chop off the wrong leaf. And here it goes. Also, I like to cut, I'll show you on the leaf, on a slight angle. That's just a habit from general gardening, especially if you have outdoor plants. If you cut it on an angle away from the axle, you sort of have the water, if it's raining, not dripping into the leaf axle and causing rot. It will run off. Just a little thing on the side. Let's move to the next plant. I feel like I'm just wibbling on here. That's the next plant. And there you go. This guy I moved to a little bit of a darker spot because this is really pretty. This leaf has been white for quite some time, so with this guy I will be making sure we're not watering too much. And for all the cuttings, they haven't seen fertilizer. I'm too scared to burn the leaves, and oh my god, just take a minute and have a look how pretty the leaves are. I wouldn't even be able to decide if I like the speckled variegation or if I like the solid block variegation. With the solid block variegation, it is a bit harder to keep them white. So with this, say these two, this and this, we're chopping it because that's the original leaves from the cutting. When you start cutting plants and propagating, I found the propagation leaf I will always cut off eventually. It just turns weird because it's trying to reach for the light. Also, what I was going to say before, if when I've raved on about that the plant is supplying itself, say for example I would only have this leaf and we wouldn't have these two, we wouldn't cut. So just imagine these two not here and you only have this one leaf, I would not cut these two because that plant can't, I wouldn't be confident it will survive with just this little bit of green. So keep that in mind before you cut off your propagation leaves. Maybe I leave that one. It's kind of cool how it goes around and up. Alright, let's just cut that one. Make sure that your shears are nice and clean. And here's the angle. Oh, you can't. Let me cut it and then I'll show you. So can you see how I cut that towards the outside, so if water was to come on here, it would run off away from the plant. If it was going on the plant, then I would be a little bit worried. It's just a little thing. It's the same when you mist your plant. Don't overdo it, because then the water stays on the leaf and it could do the opposite. So whatever you do with fertilizing, with watering, do it with, like, I don't even know how to say it, less is more. I guess that sums it up. Alright, I think it would look better if I cut this. Well, anyway, comment below if you want this leaf gone or not. I'll leave it for now, and let's move on to the next plant. The next plant is just it is beautiful and a bit of a worry at the same time. So with having explained to you before about the photosynthesis and how much green you want, you know exactly, you probably look at this plant, it's so beautiful, but is it going to survive? The good thing is there is white, so it's all one mid-stem cutting. And there is green on this guy, really beautiful. The half moon, I don't even know who come up with half moon variegation. Variegation is variegation. There is like a plant that has low variegation or high variegation. I would classify this as a high variegation, but I think Stella, and this is just my opinion, I hope no one's going to be offended about this, but I think a plant should not get sold for more money because it has half moon variegation. Because the other thing with variegation, you are never guaranteed. If you buy a plant with half moon variegation, it does not necessarily mean that this half moon variegation will continue on. Variegation is a huge gamble where you have win and loss. I just quickly have to tell you this. I bought a variegated Florida Beauty cutting. I got it for a pretty good price. It had no roots. I had no idea. I had an idea how to root plants, and I knew the variegation could be not continuing, but I was that confident, nah, this is gonna happen for me, and it didn't. The same, the mother plant was half moon variegation for this one, and look how extremely different the cuttings are. These ones will be probably battling survival. So I'll put this one in lower light position. It's in my little IKEA greenhouse. And this one here, see, no guarantee that the half moon variegation will continue. Yep, that leaf, it hasn't, so it's really just something to keep in mind. I haven't talked about the base of the plant and how it's going. I'll show you. First glimpse, what do you guys think? How this is going? Looks quite alright, doesn't it? But it's not. It's not going well. And if you have a plant dying or if something doesn't go well, don't beat yourself up about it. I know I say that now and I do it. But seriously, learn from it and move on. This is completely my fault. This is, I should have, so what I should have done, look at how massive this pot is and how tiny this stump is. So I kept it in mind that this is very small and how big this is, so I didn't water it too much. But I think what I should have done straight away when I was doing the cuttings, I should have taken this out and planted it probably in a planter this size. So this was too big, but hey, I learned from it. And to be honest, I'm going to try, I'm taking it out of the soil. I'm gonna have a look. I took the base out of the pot and see the top is dead, and check this out. How cool. So if there's no right or wrong really, but yeah, as I said at the beginning, I should have repotted it earlier. Anyway, what I've done, I washed off all the roots. So in this part, because it's dying, you can you see how this is like rotted? This is the roots, you can squeeze them and they stay firm. With this one, it's all mushy. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to chop it here. I've done the chop. And cut some of the roots. Here's the base. As I mentioned before, I will be putting this on a heat mat. I don't think I'm gonna put it in a humidity dome. I'm putting it in my plant room, which has 60, 70, sometimes 80% of humidity. So just quickly, that's just what my experience is with perlite. Have a bit of a gap where the water is sitting. So you want to make sure, so the water, I'm not sure if you can see when I wiggle this, or the water level is about here, just below these roots. You don't want to sit them in that water. So yeah, that's just. And I gave it a bit of a vessel where it's snug. So this is about half the size what the pot was. It actually did have a fairly big root ball. I did chop the ends. I did chop everything. So with your roots, as I said before, anything that's soft or you can pull off, just cut that off. I didn't want to go to the extent that I treat it with peroxide or anything. I'm just gonna leave it as it is. The top cut, I applied cinnamon on it, and your fingers crossed. Let's see what's going to happen. This tip here, I don't know, yeah, no, it looks pretty white in the camera. I think my brain is saying, oh, there is a little bit of green on it. Survive. Now, the stem is fairly wide, so it might not work, but I'll give it a shot. I'm pretty happy how it looks anyway, and I'll give you an update. Alright guys, I hope you liked this video. If you did like it, give it a like. If you have any questions or comment below, I'd love to hear from you guys, and I'll see you next time. Until then, stay planty. Bye!